I still need to figure out who the villain is for this season of Doctor Who. But if there's one thing that can help me do that, it's social media. What? A friend request? Hooray for Zoidberg, I have a friend! I mean, hooray for Brian. I bring Sutek's gift of spam to all. Block. No. Hi everyone, welcome back to You Know Who. I'm your host, Brian Hines. The internet can be a great place. You can catch up with friends, do some shopping, or even watch your favorite reviewer tackle TV episodes that came out months ago. But what if social media had a downside? On today's episode, we meet a girl who puts the entitled in Entitled Rich Brat. This is Doctor Who, Dot and Bubble. It's a perfectly wonderful day. Lindy Pepperbean wakes up, turns on her Dot, a floating computer sphere, and activates the Bubble, a 360-degree immersive social media experience projected by the Dot that puts her in touch with her world. It even tells her where to walk. Some of the gang aren't answering their calls, but who cares? Ricky September has a new song out. However, she's interrupted by the Doctor.
You don't know me, but my name is the Doctor, and your life is in danger, okay? There are creatures out there in the real world, there are monsters, and they are coming to get you.
And just out of sight, there's something sinister. In the city of Fine Time, everyone wears the Bubble. It's so all-encompassing, Lindy doesn't even notice the dead bodies are screaming. She's at her job complaining about how boring it is with her friends when Ruby shows up on her screen asking for help with a quick survey. She gets Lindy to explain what she does. Data processing at Fine Time for the home world. She works 2 grueling hours a day in her 6-person office. 2 whole hours. Well, aren't you just a pillar of hard work and dedication, Mum? Do be sure to put in for your overtime. We wouldn't want you to get less than 1 cent of what you're owed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to my side hustle of reviewing a British TV show for halfpennies on an algorithm-driven video site. Ruby wants to know if her office mates are there. Of course, but they're not answering their Bubble. Ruby convinces Lindy to actually look with her eyes in between the lines of the Bubble. There's no one there, except the person who sits next to her. Lindy then sees something rather upsetting. See, the problem is Ruby is outside of Fine Time, so she needs Lindy to tell her what's happening. So Lindy finally turns off the Bubble. Her co-worker is being eaten by a giant slug. Freaking out, Lindy plays her Ricky song, but Ruby breaks back in and brings the Doctor. They want to get her out of there. They need her to walk out without the Bubble. The Dot can't see the slugs, and they don't want her to walk into one. Lindy does her best, but she just can't walk without the little arrows telling her where to go. She's too conditioned to using them. She does manage to get to the elevator with the Bubble, and there's a slug there. She's too scared to move, but it just goes past her. The Doctor can't figure out why it ignored her. She heads outside. Yes, most people are walking around in their bubbles, but several people are being eaten by the slugs. Well, better out than in, I say. Seriously though, those things look like they should have come out of a Ginger Legacy admission. Lindy thinks the slugs might be from the wild woods. There's a forest surrounding Fine Time that the citizens are told to stay away from. Ruby wants to know, what is Fine Time? It's a city that only the super young and super rich can live in. That makes sense to Ruby. Of course they only work 2 hours a day. They're all rich brats. Lindy plays them a video of her mummy.
We miss you so much, darling. But I pay for the whole moon to make you happy.
Are you my mummy? Actually, she does look familiar. Is it my mummy? Mummy? Mummy, it's me, Brian. I review shows on YouTube. Are you proud of me, Mummy? Mummy? Mummies. How Egyptian. Who said that? Lindy gets frustrated with the Doctor and Ruby and summons her closest friend, but almost half of them are now offline. Gothic Paul has continually told them about all these people missing, but when Lindy tries to warn him about the others being eaten, he doesn't buy it. Although he might come around since he's then getting eaten on screen. The Doctor tells them, get under the city. That will lead them to an underground river that they can use to rally the citizens and escape Fine Time. But in the middle of it all, Lindy's Dot begins to lose power. She only briefly hears the Doctor direct her to Plaza 55. A few Three Stooges worthy pratfalls later, Lindy gets to 55 in a street lined with the slugs. She can't get through them without the bubble there telling her where to go. but thankfully a voice guides her through them. This good-looking metrosexual at the other end of the street looks a lot like Ricky September, let me tell you.
I am Ricky September.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, cool. But honestly, he's no Mickey August. Or Dickie July. I will say I do like his stuff better than Nicky October. That's my hot take, everyone. Like it or leave it. Along the way, Ricky admits he only ever uses his dot to upload his videos to the bubble. Otherwise, he's usually at home reading. They eventually get under Plaza 55 and Lindy is able to charge her dot while Ricky tries to reach the home world for help. Only to find that everyone there is already dead at the hands of the slugs. Mandibles of the slugs? She reconnects to her bubble, reestablishing contact with Ruby and the Doctor, both impressed by her new famous friend. The Doctor begins sending a long coded number which Ricky must enter into the security panel to unlock the door that will lead them down to the river. Catching her up, Liddy's friends are still alive, but only Hoochie Pie is on the run. The rest have remained at their desks. And yes, that's her real name. But they still can't figure out why the slugs are only eating some people. But the Doctor realizes they're working off a list, eating people in alphabetical order by their last name. They contact the woman whose name is right before Lindy's and she's gobbled up in front of them. Lindy freaks out, but Ricky calms her down. 30 more numbers, and they're safe from the slow-moving slugs. But the Doctor realizes this isn't an animal infestation, but an attack by a created organism. And why can't the Dot see them? Except maybe it can? Imagine being the most powerful computer on the planet, being able to develop into an artificial intelligence, and having to spend all your time listening to vapid, entitled rich kids. The Dot wants the population dead. The Dot has been walking them into the slugs in alphabetical order. The Dot hates them. Ricky steps in to fight it off with a pipe while she finishes entering in the numerical code. Unfortunately, it manages to drop a heavy chain on his head. They're in a basement. Heavy chains just hang. It happens. The Dot is about to kill her when she comes up with a brilliant idea.
His surname is Coombs. He was born Richard Coombs. C comes before P.
Lindy.
Bitch, are you for real? That's Ricky F. in September. You just got killed. All right, look. Lindy, I'm sorry, but you're out of the fan club. I'll expect you to mail in your lock of Ricky's hair. Lindy gets the door open and escapes the Dot. She gets to the river with the Dr. Ruby. She's even reunited with Hoochie Pie. When the Doctor asks her about Ricky, she plasters on a fake smile and tells him he went back to try and save other lives. Well, the survivors know they're on their own now. They're going to sail out into the forest and make a new life for themselves out there. The Doctor offers them a ride in the TARDIS to any planet they like, where they'll be able to live as they're accustomed to. Sorry, Doctor, but you're really not our people. We only consort with those whose personal wealth could bankrupt most third world countries, which we've all done. That's right, the Doctor is beneath them. They have a standard to maintain, and it does not allow them to travel with poors. He begs them not to go. They're inept children who won't be able to last living rough in the wilds. Lindy seems to think about it for a moment before turning her back on the Doctor and Ruby. The survivors sail out on a small boat into the wilds past fine time. Mad and frustrated, the Doctor can only bitterly laugh before he and Ruby enter the TARDIS and materialize away. Ugh. Oh, this was an interesting ride. Eventually. On the last episode, 73 Yards, I had a lot of people commenting that they loved the first part of the story but hated the ending because it didn't give them any answers. I felt like Down the Bubble was the exact opposite. The first 80% felt like a lot of pointless commentary on social media and the entitlement of the bored rich. But man, the last 7 minutes got intense. From Lindy selling out Ricky to the rich kids sailing off to their probable yet completely avoidable doom. This story is primarily carried by actress Kaylee Cook's portrayal of Lindy Pepperbean. Yes, she plays her as flighty and vain, but with a bit of charm. At times you see a bit of self-loathing seep in, like when she's failing to walk without the bubble. But that moment when she sells out Ricky to save her own life, you understand she's also a coward and more than a little selfish. And like most of the fine-time citizens, grossly entitled, believing that those socially beneath her have a duty to help her. She only becomes truly irredeemable when she lies to the Doctor and Ruby about what happened to Ricky. She can do terrible things and live with them so long as no one knows about it or judges her for them. By contrast, the Doctor has no ego. He doesn't care if they look down on him so long as he's able to do the right thing. And this might be one of the few times where the Doctor couldn't save the people. It's like that old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. The citizens of Fine Time won't survive in the wilds. They have no skills. But because they've had it drilled into their heads their whole lives that they are superior and meant to succeed, they can't even fathom failing, and that entitlement is their downfall. Millie and Shooty don't really have great performances in this episode. They're mostly relegated to being talking heads on a screen. But that final moment, they go through a whole range of emotions: disbelief, humility, anger, and sadness when they find that they're simply not allowed to save the Fine Timers. I do feel like that evil AI explanation came out of nowhere. It's something of a joke that every couple of years Doctor Who does the latest tech trend is actually evil story. I think the last one might have been Wi-Fi is evil and Matt Smith's The Bells of St. John. Although this AI is a true artificial intelligence and not a program that creates pictures of sexy girls with too many fingers. But you get what I'm saying. Somebody thought, AI, oh, I'll do an episode about that being evil. Now, as I've mentioned on previous episodes, it does feel like we're getting a lot of callbacks this season. This one, well, the ending reminds me of Voyage of the Damned, where the Doctor tries to save a misfit group, but at the end, the only one he's managed to save is the rich snob that nobody liked. Same thing here. All the survivors are terrible, but that doesn't mean you should give it your all to save their lives. Overall, an okay episode that will probably be remembered as being better than it actually was for those last 7 minutes. Curse you, Lindy Pepperbean. Okay, my friends, that's it for now. Thank you for joining me. Please take the time to like this video, subscribe to my channel, click the bell for notifications, and please check out my Patreon page. It's patrons like you who help these videos get made. Hey, until next time, my friends, thank you for joining me. This has been You Know Who, and I'm your host, Brian Hines.